everyone, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So today is May 18th, starting the second to last week of May already, or however you want to look at it. You're probably getting this on Memorial Day, I guess you would be, which will be nice to be chilling today, chilling that day. So what's going to happen this week? What am I reading? What's going on? So last night, after you already got the vlog from last week, I was in the middle of Heart of Blood and Ashes, which I finished last night. I read most of it yesterday, actually, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I love the characters. I love the setup of the world. I love the romance that was going on. I loved the magic we were seeing. I loved it. I love having a book that is 100% romance and 100% fantasy. Like, they are both just as important, and you can't have one without the other. So I really loved it. So now I actually was approved for an e-arc through NetGalley for the sequel, which comes out in July, and the third one actually will be out in December. So we're gonna end up with 3 books in the series this year, which is amazing to me. And I just think about all the fantasy authors out there who don't put books out that quick. And I'm sure some of it is, I'm sure that Milla Vane has written a lot of these ahead of time, and so she's doing kind of like a drop of them pretty quickly. But I don't care. The contact is great. I think the world setup is amazing. I'm actually going to do like a deep dive into this series when I finish the arc of this. So on to the second one. It's about different characters, but pretty much from the beginning, we are aware of the events that happened in this book because we are about 2 years later, and some of the people we met, like lesser characters we met, are in this one. And so they're not who the story is about. It is not about anybody that we met before, but the people we met before are in this. And this one is going to be kind of like a second chance romance. So I just love that. I love that there's still the tropes that I love so much in contemporary and historical romance, like in this fantasy romance. And it really just goes to show that romance you can put into any genre, and it's amazing. So yeah, this one's going to be a second chance romance. I won't go into too many details of this because if you haven't read the first one yet, you don't even know the world we're talking about. But this is a land where females and males can equally be warriors. And there's this woman named Lizen, who she was banished from her people because her army got attacked and she lived. And so they think that she was a coward because she lived, which is ridiculous. And then the man that she loved, he didn't go with her when she was banished. He has reasons, of course, but he thought it was better for her to go than to stay. So now it is such and such many years later, and he wants nothing more than to have her back. But the duty that he had before is still just as important as it is now, and she hates him for abandoning her or making her leave. So that's what we're kind of dealing with in here. And so there's a lot of fierce characters. These are barbarian romances, but I just love them so much. And there are animal companions. In the first one, there was horses and dogs that were like more intelligent. And then in this one, our hero has a saber-toothed cat as his companion. And some people can speak with horses in this one. So it's going pretty good, and I really like it. I read 25% of it last night before it was too late to stay awake, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm on The Hero of Ages. That's my audiobook I'm listening to right now. Excuse me. I'm 150 pages into Written in My Heart's Own Blood, which I'm not going to be rushing to get through that one because I don't need to finish it that quickly. And then I have a couple contemporary romances on my TBR for May still that I'm going to try to crack out 1 or 2 of them this week. So yeah, that's everything that we got started. Very, very exciting to me. This fantasy romance is literally everything that I want, and I'm living for it right now. So I'll check back in later. Hey yo, Same position as the last clip because I spend most of my day at my tiny little office space. That's how it goes. When you live in a 1-bedroom apartment and have to work from home, you do what you gotta do, right? So this week is going really good in the reading department, as it usually does. You know, I don't really have a problem reading enough. Usually do pretty good with that. But I've been reading some really good books. So in the last clip, I think I talked about where I was at in the Heart of Blood and Ashes, or the Gathering of Dragon series. I finished that first book. I also read the sequel, A Touch of Stone and Snow, and I freaking love this series, and I just want everyone to read it. So I filmed a review and like spoiler chat for it, which should be up already, and I just want more people to talk with it about who've read it already. So the first half is non-spoilers, and then I get into spoilers, and I give a little tease of the second book too, because I got to read an arc of that. And then the new Hunger Game prequel came out, so I bought that. I have not read it yet though. We'll see how that goes. I want to get it read before spoilers get out, but I'm also like really unmotivated to read it right now because I'm in the middle of some other really good books, and so I don't want to, you know, break that by diving in to this book. Like, I want to be in a good headspace to read it. So we'll have to see. I also have read a book that I'm going to do a mini rant about when we do the wrap up, but I don't want to talk about it right now. I read Judgment Road by Christine Feehan because I heard it talked about in the Faded Maze podcast. And so I actually used to read Christine Feehan all the time. Starting back when I was in high school, I started her Dark Hunter series, and I read that, and I read the Drake sisters back then, and I read the first few books in the Sea Haven series, and then I just got a little bit sick of it because every single one of the male protagonists was a Russian who had been previously trained, like, cruelly, like, in sexual ways and other things like that, and I just got kind of sick of it, that every single male protagonist was the same. But I also like sexier books a lot more now, than I did then. And I mean, I've always liked romances, but I like it so much more now. And so I heard them talking about Faded Nates about a certain like sex scene that was in this book, and I was like, I used to have Judgment Road, but then I never ended up reading it, and so I like got rid of it during a book haul. So I went and picked it up, and it's an MC romance, and I really, really liked it. I did. I had good feelings about it, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Yeah, I really liked it. Again, like, it's the same thing. Like, all of these characters together in this MC club called Torpedo Inc., they had been trained at this one facility to be kind of like assassins. They were trained sexually, how to please people and get information from them, which is really depressing and hard to read about. There's a lot of triggers in this book. And then we have this lady who, she's a bartender, and she gets a job at their biker bar. And this man who, he's never been able to just be attracted to who he wanted to. Like, sex was always when he was doing a job, and he would like have to get aroused to do his job. And so he's always hated sex, and he's had a lot of hangups about it. And then he meets this girl who he like gets a boner for without it being this like forced thing. And so he's really drawn to her, but because it's MC and there's a lot of, you know, the danger that comes with that, he is afraid. And also he's afraid of his own triggers because he has, you know, sexual trauma from this. And so he doesn't like to be touched in most places. He needs to be kind of the one in control of everything. And honestly, I wish that Christine Feehan did BDSM, because he would completely be a good example of someone who should look into this scene, because I feel like it would be good for him, because then he, you know, could make it so people can't touch him and he gets to be the one in control. But anyway, it was very good. again, there's a lot of trigger warnings, so make sure you look them up, but it reminded me that I do have a soft spot for Christine Feehan, and I had to restrain myself from going to her backlist of books because I know that if I get drawn down the Carpathian novel, sorry, Dark Hunter is Sherilyn Kenyon, who I also used to read her. If I get drawn back down the Carpathian path, I can't, because there's like 30 books of those now, and I can't do it. I love those. They had a time and place in my life. But I did buy the other 2 books that are out because I really liked some of the guys in the crew, and so I want to read their books. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to jump into that and just be there for it. So yeah, and then right now I'm reading the Filthy Rich American series because Katie Roberts said that the inspiration for Daddy Shane in Your Dad Will Do is from the father-in-law of this series. And the first 3 books are about the younger couple, and then the 4th book is the dad's book, basically. And I am so here for it. Like, they are really quick. You have to buy these ones. They're not on KU, but they're so worth it. I've never read a Nikki Sloan before, and I actually like posted on my Instagram and I said, Katie Roberts told me to read this and now I can't do anything else with my life. And Katie messaged me back and she's like, welcome to my world. It's all Nikki Sloan's fault, and I'm totally fine with it. So I'm on the 3rd book right now. I'm probably going to finish that series today. The reason I'm still working right now and I'm trying to do a training, but my internet is being so slow that's why I literally stopped to film a clip, because I was like, I'm waiting for these training videos to load and they won't. And once I finish this training today, I need to go to the gym. I went 4 times last week, which is awesome. I'll only be able to go 2 or 3 this week because I'm finally going home to Pillager. It's been almost 3 months since I've seen my family at home. My parents came to visit me one of the weekends, but I haven't seen my sister or my nieces or anyone besides my parents from there in 3 months. And so I'm going to go home for Memorial weekend. And yeah. And then my church is going to do a service on Sunday. We are allowed to go back, so that's going to be good too. So lots of things opening. Hopefully we'll get to get out there a little more. And yeah, I'll check back in with you with my reading and see how it's going. Hey, yo. All right. So I'm doing it. I don't really want to. However, I see that some of my friends have finished it already, and they will have their reviews going up. And if people end up not liking this book, then I won't end up reading it because I don't really like to waste my time. But also, I bought this book, and it was freaking expensive, by the way. For this being technically like a YA novel, it's the same price as like an adult book, which is totally price gouging to me. It's totally hype that you would sell this book for as much as like an adult fantasy. I don't know. That's just me being bitchy about it. And I'm like, Suzanne Collins probably won't write another series ever in her life, because why would you? That's not me like critiquing her as like an author. That's totally your prerogative. Take as long as you want. But it's like, ooh, nobody is going to say no to buying this book, even if they and like, so let's charge a lot of money, because if they end up hating it, it'll be like The Cursed Child, where nobody buys it ever. Also, I have a horrible zit right now, and I hate my life, and so it's just staring at me. Watching some Daniel Green, and I'm going to start this. And I'm going to try to give it the 100 pages that I always give a book before I DNF. I'm not assuming I'll DNF. Maybe I'll like this. I just am scared. So I'm going to try to dive in before I hear any spoilers or see anything that changes my mind. And we will see how it goes. Maybe I'll throw some more updates for this in here, because I'm not going to do a separate vlog for it. I'm sure some people will, but it's just not the content that like my channel's really about anymore. I'm, you know, obviously more about Outlander and romance. So doing a vlog for this, I don't really see the purpose of it, but I'll let you know how it goes, okay? Hey, so checking back in, I'm on page 212. So I'm like a little over a third of the way in. And it's not bad. And I think it's just, I feel kind of bleh about it all. Because it's an interesting story what's setting up. And obviously I'm not going to talk really about any of the story except to say, so this is the 10th Hunger Games, and it's still really, like, messy at this point. Like, it's not the advanced set of games that we see for the 74th, you know? So, it's not completely put together the way that it is now. Like, an example, the arena for this is more literally an arena still. Like, there are stands in it and like I don't really know what it looks like, but it has like woods and stuff built into it, but it still also has like actual stands where like it probably used to be like a football field or some kind of arena like that has been like overgrown or something. And I just can't I just don't care very much because there's a lot of the sympathizing going on, making us sympathize for Coriolanus. And I just don't. So it's just all these different scenes and things happening, which again, I'm being very vague, that are trying to make me care about him. Because this isn't an evil person. And I think he's 19. I think he's 19. So he doesn't feel like an evil person right now. And this is only 10 years after the war. So things are still pretty tough in certain ways. But I feel like I'm skimming a lot. The point I'm at, we're actually in the games that's going on right now. And I just can't, make myself care. I'm finding things interesting more for, getting the history of what a game that long ago was like. And so far, there are, 2 other characters that we've interacted with that are still alive in the original series. So that's been, fun to see who those people were and what's going on. But otherwise, I'm just kind of okay, I'm pushing through this to see when this snap is going to happen. And so it's you're reading a book where you know that there's no happy ending coming because we're 65 years away from it, which was my same worries when I heard about the book. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how these games go and see what I feel, but I'm just kind of bleh. Hello! Look, I made it to my family's in Pillager. I haven't been here in so long. It feels so good to be in different scenery, to be out of my house. It just feels so good. So, yeah, today we're just hanging out. We're gonna go into town and go shopping because it's Memorial Weekend and some things are actually open. I need to get some clothes. We're gonna go to my favorite old bookstore. My mom's gonna meet us there. But today, yeah, we're just enjoying it here. It might rain, but it's still so nice to be outside. So I'm just sitting here reading. I actually started reading a historical romance that's only a 4-hour long audiobook. I haven't listened to a historical romance on audio before, but this one's called The Grand Sophie by Georgette Hare, and a lot of people have actually suggested that one to me, and I found it on Scribd, and it was only 4 hours, so I'm already a fourth of the way into it, and I'm really liking it. So yeah, and then I finished reading Bound by Honor yesterday, which is the first book in the Mafia series by Cora Riley, because I'm excited to give that one a try. Hey guys! Here come my nieces. They're so cute. Hi. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. They're playing and enjoying themselves. So, yeah, we're just enjoying the day today. And we'll check in with you later. Say bye.
Bye.
Hey. All right, let's wrap up this week. Man, I got through a lot of stuff this week. So let's kind of go through what my favorites were. I read the Filthy Rich American series by Nikki Sloan, which was suggested to me by Katie Robert. I was watching an interview with her about where her inspiration for Daddy Shane came from Your Dad Will Do. And so I read this whole series this week about this couple that they kind of have a marriage for business purposes. And the father of the man this woman is marrying, he really has a thing for his soon-to-be daughter-in-law, and he kind of messes with the couple a lot. And it's really fucked up, but it was really hot and fun. And then the fourth book in the trilogy is about that couple and how they deal with this parent and him messing with their relationship. And then the fourth book is called The Redemption, and that's what it's about. It's kind of redeeming this man and kind of the trouble he's caused for his business and his family. And it manages to be like super sweet as well as messed up, because there's just that way that only a romance like this can make you have compassion for a person who is doing some pretty messed up things. And it was super fun. One book that I did not like this week, and I didn't want to make a whole video about it because it was basically a novella even, but it was the second book in the Bad Heroes or something, which Brianna Hale wrote the first one, which was The Black Fox, which was a daddy kink. It was a stepfather, stepdaughter book, and it was really good. And then the next one was like a Hercules and Meg retelling, and it had rape in it. And then we end up falling, you're supposed to fall for this hero because he realizes how horrible he was to this woman. And I just couldn't get over it. I really ranted with my friend Steph from Steph's Romance Book Talk or Steph Reads Romance. She didn't like it either, and I was kind of waiting for her to get to the part I was talking about, and we ranted about it. I only ended up giving it 2 stars because I just couldn't get over that. Like, I don't mind dark stuff. I don't mind if there is like dubious consent in books, but there was straight up no consent. He was rough, he was cruel, and it was rape, and then we're supposed to fall for him, and it was just not good. Not good. I read a couple other books in that series that were okay, but on the whole I haven't been loving it, so I'm probably going to stop reading those fairy tale like reimaginings. Because instead of it being a series where like villains are being kind of redeemed, where like Katie Roberts are, these ones, they're just twisted tales of heroes who are behaving badly, and I'm just not a big fan of the stories they've told. But they were interesting. Then I read Judgment Road by Christine Feehan. So I used to read Christine Feehan when I was in high school. I read a lot of her Carpathian novels. I read her Sea Haven novels. I even read some of the Leopard series and the Game. Like, I used to read her all the time. And when I look back now, she was kind of my like first paranormal romance that I read. This one, I wouldn't really consider this paranormal. I guess I know that some of the guys have gifts because they were like, in this series, it's always the Russians tortured people and made them into assassins, and then we're falling for them. And this one was cool because this group, they formed a motorcycle club in Sea Haven. So I also got to see some characters from other books, and I really liked getting to see them pop back up in this one. This one is about Reaper, and he was abused sexually as a child. There are a lot of triggers in these books. You should definitely look them up before diving into it because I probably won't get all of them. And so basically, like, he has never like seen a woman and like wanted her, because sex has always been used as a tool, as a torture device, as, you know, something he was trained to do. And he meets this girl that he's attracted to, and he loves her, and it was really good. And so I've bought the next 2 books in the series as well. I do want to continue them. And I gave this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's good, but they're dark. They're dark. This book I've talked about so much, A Heart of Blood and Ashes. I have a dedicated review to it that's already went up. You can check it out. I gave this 5 stars. I also read the sequel to it, which I had an e-arc for, which is called A Touch of Stone and Snow, and I gave that 5 stars. Again, more about that in a video. I also read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which came out this week. There's also a dedicated review for this. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. It takes place during the 10th Hunger Games. It's about Coriolanus Snow and the tribute from District 12 that he has to mentor. Her name is Lucy Gray Bard. And I only gave this 2.5 stars. I didn't really like it. It was a struggle to get through it. Again, I have a whole dedicated review for this. I read Dirty for Me by Jackie Asherman. This was on my TBR for this month. I can't remember what the prompt was for it, but it's one that I've had for a while that I wanted to get around to reading. This was a one-night stand kind of situation. This girl goes with her friend to a self-defense class to like watch it, and the instructor, the girls from it are going to go out for a drink. She doesn't want to. She's supposed to get married to someone her dad wants her to get married to for business purposes, and she has kind of ruined her family because of something that happened with her deceased brother, and so she feels like she needs to marry this person to make it up to her family. It was pretty good. I think I only gave this one 3.5 stars. It wasn't bad, and I'm glad I finally read it because I purchased it. And so her and him, they end up having like, they aren't even really friends, but they end up having a sexual relationship, and then feelings happen, and like, it was okay. It was okay. Some other ones I read that were really good. I read The Grand Sophie, which I listened to on the way to my family's and back yesterday. And this is by Georgette Hare. This was just a cute, quick little Regency romance. It reminded me a lot of Jane Austen. And it was this girl that her father is going to be going to Brazil to do a work thing there. And so he asked his sister if his daughter can stay with them and if she will help his daughter find a wife, because she's been traveling with him for the last like 10 years of their life, and he wants her to settle down and have a, you know, he's not forcing it on her, he just wants her to be happy, and just like, would you help her find a husband so that she can be stable? And so the family agrees, and we meet the oldest sibling of this family, who he's kind of been in charge of the family because one of their cousins, one of their uncles, like left him his fortune. And he had a lot of things to clean up that his father, who's a little bit frivolous, and one of his younger brothers has kind of wasted a lot of their fortune, and he's really trying to clean things up. And then Sophie comes in, and she is so much fun. This has no smut in it. It was an adorable like family dynamics, and it was cute. And this oldest cousin, he's really kind of like buttoned up. He's engaged to this really like demure woman, and she's just not the right one for him. And Sophie just really wants to help her family, who is so good to take her in, and it's just beautiful. It is beautiful from start to finish. It was a delight. It was only a 4-hour audiobook. It was on Scribd, and I'm so glad that I tried it because I was laughing and just loving, and there's nothing dark or angsty about it. It was just a joy. It was a joy. Then I also read Ringmaster by Brianna Hale. This was her newest release that she did the interview with my friend Tamika over at Library of Tomes for. I actually won this copy from that interview. She was giving away a couple copies, and this was so sweet. I thought this would be a bit darker because I'd read 2 of Brianna's other books that were quite dark. And this one was surprisingly not. It was very fun. It was an age gap. There's a lot of trigger warnings at the beginning of this, so it's very dark kind of in the beginning. But then for the most part, it was just so much fun. This girl is 17. Her father is beating her. She really loves her horse. She like runs away that night, and her father chases after her with a gun. Then we have Kale, who he is the ringmaster, the leader, the one who owns the circus, and he happens to be riding by on his horse. And he sees her father chase after her with a gun. And so he intervenes, he saves her, and he asks her, would you like to join my circus? I take in runaways and lost souls. We'll be your family if you want it. And so he's 31, she's 17. This book takes place over about a year. And so it's kind of this like slow burn. First she finds a family and a home, and then eventually there's feelings that come for her. Nothing happens before she's 18. But it was so sweet. Like, nothing about this felt hinky or weird. If you're looking to try an age gap that's kind of a bigger age gap and you haven't before,
I would really suggest this one. It wasn't overly smutty either. It was just a beautiful friendship that becomes more. But there are some trigger warnings because of what happens to her. And also Cale had a sister who was raped and murdered, and so that's something that's haunted him. But it's not something that really looms over the story too much. So if you can get past that first little bit in the beginning where they explain the setup, I thought it was really, really good. And then the last couple I'll talk about right now is I'm currently in the middle of reading the Bound in Blood series by Cora Riley. I haven't read. This is a mafia series, so it's very dark. There's tons of trigger warnings. I know that this like bleeds into another series. I'm just at the point where I can read the spin-off series now. But we're dealing with the Chicago and the New York mobs. So there's the Familia, which is in Chicago, and there is the Outfit, which is New York. And the beginning of this is an arranged marriage between a guy's daughter and then the new capo of Chicago, and they're trying to bridge peace. So she gets engaged to him when she's 15 and he's only 20, and then their wedding doesn't take place until she's 18. And she's been told, you know, the women here, you know, this is set in modern times, but the women there, it's really more like it's way back. Like they specifically exist to make alliances and to make more children and to like be that. So if that's something you don't want, don't read it. But what I love about the mobs is in this series specifically, the men are these hard, horrible, messed up killers who are willing to do whatever they have to, but when they find the right women for them, it gets kind of like they're just big squishy balls of love for them, and I really like it. So I've read the first 4, and then I've also read the 7th one, because the 7th one is a continuing of like the first couple. And so I only have 2 left to read in that series, and then I'm going to start the spin-off series, which has to do with the Vegas mob, which I'm really nervous about, because the Vegas mob, they do like sex trafficking, and like they do run that, so I'm nervous about that series. But once you're in the middle of something like that, you just can't pull yourself out. So they've been like 5 or 4.5 stars for me so far. So yeah, that's what I've been reading this week. It's been another really fun week of reading for me. And tomorrow is a holiday, so I'm probably going to be reading like most of the day, and it's going to be great. So yeah, that is my, that was my week of reading this week. Tell me one of these that you're interested in. Tell me what you think. I put up 3 to 4 videos a week, and you can watch some more of them right now. Bye-bye.